Very freeform today. I don't even have notes. I just have ideas and feelings for you today. Here I am again talking about Disney. Wow, I haven't talked about Disney for, 2 whole days? And we're back to Disney, specifically to discuss a trailer and sort of expectations for a Disney Plus exclusive streaming series called Sketchbook. So basically what this series is, I'll just read the log line here that's in the description. The magic is drawn one line at a time. Pencil emoji, stars emoji. Sketchbook, an original series featuring artists from Disney Animation, is streaming April 27th on Disney Plus. So there we are. Okay, so roughly 1 month from the time of recording, we will be able to watch Sketchbook, or at least, I don't know if they're releasing all episodes at once or what. We don't know how many episodes there are going to be total, but here we are. Now, just an overview. I mean, if that didn't give you the idea, yeah, they interview might be slightly inaccurate because some of this does seem somewhat prepared, which we'll get into. But yeah, they have Disney animators. Some of them quite prominent Disney animators, public-facing people, and then some people who I'm personally not very familiar with, some people who seem to have been there for quite a long time. And then apparently they're just going to be talking about animation in general, their own history with visual arts, animation, potentially even talking about how they started to work at Disney. And then they're specifically doing just sketches, pretty raw pencil sketches of characters. I assume these are characters these individual people have animated. And this is the thing, I only learned this through the Sweatbox, which is that famous band documentary about the making of Emperor's New Groove, which is excellent. You got to track it down. It's wonderful, and the fact that it was banned leads into some ideas that I'll be getting to shortly. But basically, individual characters, at least, among the main cast of one of these movies, are animated by one person each. So one animator is assigned to a particular character, and that's pretty cool. It makes sense. You're going to be more consistent that way, I would imagine. You get to sort of have a weird relationship with that particular character. We just get these little clips in the trailer. It's pretty short, minute and a half, just like, giving us clues as to what the series is actually going to be like. Because for the moment, that's all I have is just expectations and impressions of what this is going to be. I will say that right now, I am generally optimistic about the series' existence at all. I'm maybe hesitantly optimistic, but this is something that I was just talking about in that other video about Disney and Pixar. Like, we already know in just this vague branding sense and based on the work itself that Disney and Pixar happen to hire some of the most skilled people in the industry. And okay, so I'm trying to balance positivity with cynicism here, because there are many opportunities for cynicism after watching this trailer, and there are plenty of opportunities for optimism. So I'm trying to balance the two, especially after my previous video discussing Disney Pixar, which was on the more negative side, potentially looking for negative symptoms of the risk aversion that seems to define Disney in the modern era. I want to be positive, and as I've tried to communicate very clearly in some of my videos discussing Disney movies, Pixar movies, etc., even if I don't love the end product, they're still reasonably entertaining, they're great to look at, technically immaculate, all these other wonderful positive traits. But it's hard to watch this trailer specifically. Maybe the show itself will be better, but better in this regard specifically. But here, just the lines they chose a lot of the time are just sound like they were written by a copywriter. Some of the stuff just sounds like messaging that they really want to promote in terms of their PR. They want to come off a certain way. That is what I ultimately see as the main purpose of this series. I don't think it's going to be providing us with really any kind of technical information, tips, etc. It really just kind of seems like very, very fluffy, let's say nice things about, how great it is that we each found our path and that we're able to share this magic. Drinking Game right now, say, anytime they mention magic in this thing, there's a specific line in here. Hold on. A lot of people think there's this big machine behind these movies. It's actually a very intimate process, slightly paraphrasing, but that's the line. Okay, that really does sound like copy to me. And the other thing is there is a huge machine behind these movies, not just animation departments, but post-production people, pre-production, writing teams, directors, producers, executive producers, managers, not to mention massive marketing teams, massive budgets. Like, yes, there is a giant team behind it, and like, I'm not trying to discredit what this person is saying, but just like, okay, that makes it very clear to me that they want this series to communicate certain things to the public about Disney. They want to humanize Disney in a pretty immediate way, and this is not all that different from another series they did. I don't know if it's ongoing, but remember a couple years ago they had some kind of series that was either about like Imagineers or just people who work in the parks or in the archives or something, people who work around Disney that you probably wouldn't hear about in the press or anything like that, and doing sort of light profiles. That's a potential pattern, right? Is that Disney really wants to humanize in terms of their PR. They don't want their branding to be, we are one of the flat out most powerful media empires on the planet or just in history. We want to come across as friendly, kind, thoughtful, considerate, very human, like a small company, like just a bunch of passionate people trying their best. And again, I'm not saying that these things aren't true. I don't work there. I don't work at Walt Disney Animation Studios. That's what this series specifically focuses on. And the people in particular that we're going to be sort of spending time with in this series, I'm really, really excited. I'm really excited about the general idea of getting any kind of insight into what these animators think about animation, about their work specifically, how they got into it, etc. That's cool. If we could just get raw interviews with each of these people, that would be even better. Obviously, that's not what they're trying to do here. Like I said earlier, I highly doubt we're going to get any kind of technical stuff outside of just basic explanations of what animation is, of how it works, how you use eyes and mouth to convey expression of characters, things like that. And in general, if I was going to try to nail down like a target demographic for this series, it really seems like it's skewing younger to a pretty large degree, and at moments, well, not at moments, pretty much the whole thing is saturated with this feeling of we're trying to be like inspirational. This is something we talked about a while back, but trying to view different pieces of contemporary media in light of what function they serve in reference to dominant cultural ideas. This is certainly on the side of merit-based success, right? Oh, if you work hard enough, if you have that dream and you just keep doing it, you can do anything. In fact, one of my less favorite lines in here is one of the animators saying something like, you don't have to be the best. You can just be yourself, and that's more than enough. Okay, but also, is that specific to working at Disney? Because that's not true. Is that just about animation and art creation in general? That is true. So it's like, it's so corny. It's so hokey so far, just based on this tiny little look. At the same time, I don't know. I want this to be really cool. I want this to be like an actual, very genuine look at what these people do and just their perspective on the work. That is probably the most positive thing that I could get from this series, and it's totally possible. It's totally possible that we'll get just some really kind of raw, honest, potentially funny commentary on animation and animating for Disney specifically, but it's also incredibly glossy, and this has been a trend with behind-the-scenes stuff for Disney movies and projects for years now, many, many years, is that the way they view their properties and the way that they portray the production side of things and what's actually happening in the offices, etc., is extremely glossy. Very, very neat and tidy. Everything feels like, a lot of the movies themselves, everything feels like it's calculatedly inoffensive. Okay, fine. But specifically when we're talking about behind the scenes stuff and interviews with individual people who work at companies, I would much prefer as candid as possible. Minor edits, but they actually get to say their piece. I'm not getting the sense that is what Sketchbook is going to deliver, but I do have my fingers crossed. I'm not writing this off. Yes, it comes across like marketing. Yes, it's relatively small. In fact, the official trailer here is 53,000 views in 10 days? Okay, it's not going to be huge, but if it serves that function effectively, I'm sure they'll see it as a win. So there you go. I just keep going back and forth. It could be really cool. It could be genuinely insightful. I want to spend time with a bunch of different animators who happen to work there. I hope we get a bunch of episodes, at least 10 episodes. I have no idea. I have no idea if that's what it's actually going to be. But there you have it. Please share your thoughts. It's interesting, at least. I can't think of I haven't seen anything like this from other major animation studios, maybe for some specific reasons. So at the very least, it's something different. And I think over the next month, I'm just going to do my best to not immediately engage the cynicism anytime I think about it, and just really give it a nice shot, really see what it has to say, how it's produced, edited, all that stuff. Yeah, I have a hunch that a lot of people who watch this channel are also interested in animation generally, so who knows? Maybe we'll get maybe we'll get something of real value out of this. Just have to wait and see. That's all for now. Thanks for stopping by.